Hello, welcome to another weekend edition here at Malvern Retreat House. I'm Mark Poletunow, the president of the Retreat House, and I'm happy you're able to join us today. This weekend is another glorious winter weekend here at Malvern Retreat House. There's a little coating of snow out on the grass, and the Saints Peter and Paul group are assembled here, a wonderful group of men of Malvern. So it's a lot of activity going on. We have a high school group present as well. There's a lot to be thankful for. There's an activity going on in D.C. that really has been on my mind, and I want us just to be united in prayer for those who gathered Friday for the pro-life march. And we just joined together and asked the Lord to pour out grace upon this issue throughout our country, that life might be respected and honored from conception through natural death. And we put that in the Lord's hands, and may, as a people, may we advance and do something more. This week, we've been hearing a lot through the readings from the book of Samuel. And in the book of Samuel, we find an awful lot about David, King David. And the story that most of us hear since we were tiny is the story of David and Goliath. Now, I share that story with the twins, and they always have their own monsters, so to speak, in their life, and they are being valiant and fighting against those ghosts and those unknown enemies. They relate a lot to the PJ Masks. If you don't know anything about PJ Masks, look them up, and they're teeny tots, but they fight, and they fight in the night against all of those treacherous, evil beings out there. One of the things in the story of David and Goliath is how David is saying to Saul that, I'll go out and fight that Philistine. And Saul wants to protect David, and he says, really? Yeah. You are a mere youth. You don't have the training. You don't have the preparation. You're tiny compared to what that Philistine Goliath is about. He's huge. He's a giant. How in the world can you do that? And David has this conviction about within himself that he can go out and defeat this giant, this mammoth individual, Goliath. What does he do? He takes his sling, and he picks up 5 stones from the river, and he goes into battle, and Goliath is laughing at him and saying, what is this? Who do you think I am? You come with a staff, you shepherd boy, you come with a staff, and you are a mere youth. You're puny. Who are you? We know what happens next. David takes one of the stones from his bag and defeats Goliath. Knocks him right in the forehead. The stone implants. Goliath falls. David pulls out the sword from the sheath of Goliath, and he severs his head. Oh my, such violence. But the question for us is, who and what are the Philistines in our life? Who and what are Goliath in our life? Now, we can look at all kinds of different things, and I think we have in common this sense of there is something something in the life of each one of us that we are really trying to fight against. As I said before, if I could find the nose of COVID, I'd like to punch COVID right in the nose. And that's a Goliath. But there's so many other things and issues that we deal with that seem so huge. But Jesus is inviting us to trust Him, to put whatever it is that we are fighting into His care. David knew that God would provide for him. He had that experience in his life, and he was reassured. He was empowered by that love of God, that protection of God throughout his life. And the Lord is asking us, don't focus on the giant, the behemoth in front of us, in front of you and on me, but to trust Him and His grace. I invite you to do that. I invite you to enter into prayer. You can come on our grounds if you want to escape and find a quiet place to pray. If you want to make a retreat, consider it here. Because sometimes there's so much chatter around us, we're not able to be still and recognize the love of Jesus and the ways that He will provide for us if we just let Him. May God's grace be sufficient for us. May we trust His will. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Let's pray for one another. I love you as a brother. I'm grateful for this opportunity to join you. Prosit.